Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Vegas Beat. I am Tony George from DocSports. He is Griffin Murphy from DocSports. And this is the sports betting show about guys and gals that like to bet sports and just pull up a bar stool. Pull up a bar stool. Griff, you were just down in Nashville. You had to pull up a bar stool down on Broadway. Listen some good music down there, didn't you?
I did not, Tony. I told you yesterday, I'm not drinking until June 14th. I'm sticking to my guns. It was very hard. If you noticed, you got a lot of responses out of me yesterday. That was because I was sitting at the table with 10 different people that were all hammered. And I'm sitting there like, and I got out of there. I got out of there safe and sound, checked off another day on the books. We're still rolling, Tony. Feeling good. Actually, I'm feeling great, if I had to be truthful with you, man. Landed at about 1:30 a.m. Haven't slept yet. Gunslinging. Let's keep it rolling.
There you go. Well, we're going to sling some guns tonight for sure in some sports. A couple things I wanted to touch on during this show today. And one of them is, I'm just curious to know, I'm mired in a losing streak. So let's talk about that. You know, people think that guys like me and you are just inhuman, that we do this and we're out there, you know, we're like the guys standing in the schoolyard with the trench coat on, waiting for the school bell to ring with the white van behind us, you know, just pouncing on unsuspecting recreational bettors so we can rob them blind and then, you know, just throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks and we don't give a rat's ass about them.
Sure.
It's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing of it is, losing streak, I can handle losing streaks and managing my own bankroll because I know it comes and goes. You just want it coming a little bit more than it's going. Yeah. You know, you know, you're never going to get, you know, where you're going to hit 90%, you know, every season, no matter what you read or hear on these podcasts from these people. But, you know, the psyche of carrying other people's bankrolls that aren't as disciplined as like guys like me and you.
Sure.
You know, just like attacking the markets. And I know you do a lot of day trading and stuff. You know, when you're making the wrong choice, and the thing of it is, it's not that I'm not seeing the board. I'm seeing the board and I'm liking it and I'm still not getting over. And I'm speaking specifically about the NBA and the NHL. Baseball's just kind of hit and miss, but we're still above water, you know, when it's early. So I'm not worried about that. We, you know, got a great track record in Major League Baseball, obviously. But, boy, what do you do when you hit these streaks like this? What's your reaction?
Same thing I always do, Tony. It's step away from a day. If it's bad, if it's really like you're on a tear where you're getting absolutely smoke showed and you're seeing every single play the same way, you still like the play and it's just not working your way. It's simple, man. You take one pass day, you re-rinse, reset, and readjust all your unit size. So if you're a typical 2-play better and you like to put out a 4-unit and a 2-unit every single day, well, that automatically changes to a 3-unit and a 1-unit. Make your favorite play the 3-unit, make your least favorite play the 1-unit, win the card every single day. Play lower volume. The biggest thing is protecting that risk management. And I talk about this considerably over and over again on the Dirty 630 show because that is a show based on volatility. We're trying to spring out 10, 15% returns in one day, every single day based off a system that we used off volatility. And I always go back and rehash and reiterate to everybody, if you're 1% or 1 unit, whatever the hell you want to call it, is $5. It should be $5 since we started that show 3 months ago. And if your 5% is $25, that $25 should be the same $25 wager that it was 3 months ago. Risk management is the key ingredient to sports wagering. If you know how to manage your bankroll and you know how to stick to discipline, you will eventually find yourself in those sharp breakout surges where you are completely smacking every game, going 10-0, 15-3, going on those crazy runs. That is when you up the unit size. Once you have caught that traction of hotness, then you could start upping your unit size. But for the first system, when you were in a complete rut and you were getting absolutely smoked, and you say you go 10-0, you need to then refresh. Once you've hit that refresh button, then you could start managing your bankroll and upping the units again. But you don't want to, hey, I just swept 3-0 yesterday, but I've lost 10 in a row prior to. Now, all of a sudden, because I went 3-0, I'm going to up the gas again today. No, you stick to the system. You stick to your numbers. You stick to your risk management. Risk management is the most important thing in sports betting. If you can manage your risk, you could figure out a way to come out profitable in every single season with just a 52% win rate if you do it right, Tony.
Yeah, and that's and you and I have talked about this, sitting around having a beer by ourselves before, you've
But other guys don't get it.
Yeah, you've leaned on my shoulder, I've leaned on yours, that sort of thing, and I've shared that knowledge with you, obviously lower volume and stepping away. And it was
very hard to do.
It was funny because I have my Twitter at @TGeorgeSports, but I also have a Facebook page, just Tony George Sports. It's a group page, and people can message me on there. And this guy messaged me. I lost to 7 uni last night on Indiana first half.
I was on Indiana.
Played like shit. And but anyway, and we could talk about that game in a minute. And we're just going to do some look aheads in the NBA for you as well. But there's a guy that messaged me on there saying, I got your NBA playoff package. You came in. I was on 8-3 run, in the NBA on a very low vol. I probably put out 2 or 3 picks a week during the regular season. That's it. Because you can't trust an injury report. You don't know who's playing. It's completely volatile.
Oh, I know how cautious you are with your NBA selections. You got to know. I know. Listen, I've been there before. I've seen you. I know in action. It's a pass day. It's a pass day. Tony only releases an NBA selection if he best believes 100% that thing is going to hit. And obviously that's why he releases 3 to 4 picks on it per week.
That's it.
My bad.
And this guy was telling me, he goes, you're a piece of shit, and on and on and on. I get it. All right, I get it. But his comment was, if alls I had to do, which everybody wants to be a handicapper, they think this is some glamorous lifestyle that we lead. This, that, and the other. If alls I had to do was watch sports, study sports, and just I had no other job other than to do that, I could win 80% of the time.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
That's what he
better have the best goddamn algorithm that they've ever made, and you still aren't hitting 80%. I don't give a damn who you are. Billy Walters, nobody. I can, now that I've been doing this, Tony, long enough, I'm 10 years in, 12 years in, whatever. You've been doing this for 30 years, whatever. I have seen enough of this situation to where if I'm in public and I walk across somebody who says they hit 56% of their bets, I want to look at them and start laughing and say, no, you don't. No, you don't. I know how this system works. If you don't have a strict run-on system with an algorithm or some type of full-on system method that you have created and you have back-tested for years on end through trial and error, you don't know shit. You're plain out simple. That is what it is right now. Anybody who tells you they're hitting 60% is full of shit. I don't care.
And so when I have years that I hit 60%, I have, like in the WNBA, we went 61 and 62 back-to-back till last year.
I remember.
Major League Baseball record-setting year last year. Broke a 53-year record at Docs for 1 month profit. And had almost a $14,000 year. But that's not every year, but, we do things that I do things that are very hard to do at times. And I have a team of guys around me, and bear in mind, these sports books are spending millions upon millions of dollars on software programs and AI to come up with numbers, power rating numbers to set spreads between teams. And they still do some old school Vegas stuff in terms of the public perception. They have really good sportsbook managers in there. I've spoken to Jay Cornegay over at Superbook, Westgate Superbook. For years, I've known Jay. He just stepped down last year, but he also talked about the human element, and we know what the public's going to bet. They're going to want this. So we're going to put a little added juice on that. There's still a little bit of that, but more so than not, it's algorithms, the sabermetrics and all this stuff. And, it's me and you trying to beat those computers,
Of course.
And so you need a little luck on your side. But yeah, what I'm doing, I stepped back in the NHL today. I had the over last night in the LA Edmonton game. I thought that thing's been just a shootout. And then, of course, last night, and Edmonton beats them in LA too.
I know.
Which is they're just the way they lose six games there all year long. They are like 31-6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just insane. Nonetheless, I just think that it was a good day to step away. And I'm headed out on a little golf junket with the buddies tomorrow.
There you go.
Down at the Ozarks for the weekend, an annual event we've been doing for 30 years. And it's a little bit of a shit show because there's no wives and no phones allowed. And so to give you an indication of how far south it goes, last year we had 16 guys go. 3 of them landed in the emergency room getting IVs for dehydration.
Oh God, dude.
And we're trying to break that record this year.
I think it's beatable. Tony, just strap it on and take one for the team.
Man, it is just so, but it's going to be nice. But I can't remember the last, we were trying to think, I was sitting around with the wife the other night. In the last 8 years, I've had one vacation in 8 years because this job is so demanding. And when you leave, when you say step away,
that brings me.
You're still working. You're still watching everything. You're still looking at numbers. You're trying to figure out where you're going wrong, where you're going right. What's working for you. You're trying to find a solution and not an excuse.
Yep.
So when you say step away, you're just not, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to go play 18 with the boys. I'm going to sit at the 19th hole till midnight, Uber home, crawl out of bed, go get my truck in the morning, this sort of thing. No, we're still working, but it's going to be nice to I'm going to throttle it back about 80% over the weekend and take it easy. I'll stick up my NASCAR. I'll stick up maybe an NBA or an NHL play. I got a staff capper who's going to take over baseball here for the next 3 days and send me the pick and write up, and I'll just paste it in there and not get overly involved with it. Hell, I'll probably do better.
I mean, Tony, you're bringing me right to it. I mean, that is the biggest thing. That's something actually that we should hone in on and talk about. And that is when you are traveling and you are a sports handicapper or you trade the financial markets, financial markets, it is a master psychological cluster traveling and waking up in different locations. When you are at home and you are settled in every single morning and you know your routine, you know when to run your model, you know when to run your systems, go check analytics, go check statistics. You have a full system of breaking down games on how you handicap all your games, whether it's the night before, a week before, whatever the situation may be. When you wake up in a different atmosphere, a different element, you no longer have that system. Your mind looks at lines differently. Your mind looks at totals differently. It looks at games differently. Everything corresponds in a negative fashion when you are not in your rhythm. So sports handicapping, another thing, people think, oh, you guys just travel the world. You do this, you do that. Do you know how many X factors when we travel we have to take? Just as Tony mentioned, he's leaving for 4 days. He's got to have a guy do some of his baseball stuff. He has to have a guy do something this, X, Y, Z, Y, whatever. That is how critical it is when we are making these selections. And that's the same thing in day trading when you trade the financial markets. It's not like I can just run around with a laptop and go from Nashville to Illinois to Vegas to Florida to wherever the hell I want and wake up every single day at the same time and do the exact same thing. This all comes with a full honed in routine every single day. Same thing. And if it's not, you're definitely not going to be as sharp as you were. And if you back test that for an entire year, which I have, you can see the difference of how big of a split differential you're going to get from if you're home all day, every single day for an entire season, to whether you're traveling from point A to point B to point C. That it is a huge differential. And Tony, I just wanted to throw that in there. We are not these type of guys that can just travel around and, oh, here's your pick, take that one. We're shooting this one at a dartboard. We're throwing this one here. No, this comes with routine. It comes with systems. It comes with methods. It comes with the statistics, analytics, you name it, all of it across the board in a routine. Tony, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, well, that's just it. You know, I just say, you know, people, again, you live in Vegas, you know, this, that, you know, you think we're down at the casinos every day throwing around hundreds. We just got it to burn, and, you know, this, that, and VIP'd everywhere. And you're just, you know, you live this life of Riley. I'll tell you something. I can't remember how many Christmases. My kids are 25 and 30 now. I can't tell you how many Christmases I'd get up Christmas morning, 4 a.m, work till 6. They'd wake up, want to see what Santa brought them. I'd spend about an hour with the kids opening gifts, then leave and go back up to my office and work for 3 more hours. Mm-hmm. Same thing for Thanksgiving. Same thing for Easter. You know, these said you have to be on top of this crap all the time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you have responsibilities. Docs is a big outfit. We have hundreds of clients, each of us in each sport, and they're expecting you to go to work. Yep. And I'm going to give them that work, but sometimes it doesn't pan out. But just a little bit of explanation of kind of what we go through, and nothing makes me sicker than losing top plays. I don't like losing any play, but you start talking 7-8 unit plays, and I dropped my last 2. Unbelievable. Game before last night, I had Murray over 20.5 points for an 8-unit prop of the year, and I've been beating props up at 62% on the year. He took an off night. Last night, he had that by halftime. Oh, in the next game. It just makes you sick.
Dude, I'm still sick from that Lightning. That game 1 of the Lightning, I had an 8-unit on it. I'm still sick. I took, by the way, everybody, I took the Panthers today. Go against me. Take the Lightning. I can't win a freaking hockey game to save my damn life in that series. It's ridiculous. I'm cashing other series, but that one, I have lost every single game. And tonight, I'm on the Panthers. So that means take the Lightning in tonight's matchup. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I'm saying it.
They got 1-5-1 win. I passed an NHL, but I would have taken Florida tonight. I wanted to. I almost put them out as a free play. I put out an NBA play. Speaking of the NBA, just randomly. Yeah. I think regardless what happened to Damian Lillard with Milwaukee, I still think the Pacers would have won that series. Absolutely. Even if Milwaukee's 100%. So now you got the Pacers taking on the Cavs starting on Sunday. Cavs opened up. I haven't seen the series price, but Cavs opened up at -7.5, total 229. Interesting, they played 4 times this year, and the Pacers are 3-1, including a 108-93 beatdown of the Cavs in Cleveland back in January. Interesting. Now, we all know Cleveland and Boston are going to end up playing for it all. Sure. But this might be an interesting series, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Tony, but I've said it over and over again, and everybody just they're starting to climb on a little bit, but I've been on the Cleveland bandwagon throughout this entire process.
I know you have.
Since they clinched that #1 spot in the East, I've been on the Cleveland bandwagon, and I have them beating Boston. I think they are the better team. They've been the better team all season long. They are absolutely sensational when they play basketball at home. They went 34-7 at home this season, and I get it. We're talking about a healthy Indiana team that moves the ball at a very fast pace, very good tempo. They've got Halliburton. They've got Siakam. They've got shine-out players in that lineup for sure. But Cleveland has been a dominant force in the East all season long. They just cleaned up a 4-0 sweep in their most recent series. They went into postseason 6-4 in their last 10 games. So now they're on basically a 10-4 run in their last 14. They're playing phenomenal basketball. When it comes to conference matchups, they went 41-11, while the Pacers, on the other hand, conference matchups, 29-22. Cleveland has been the team to beat all season long. I think Cleveland goes in there and absolutely dominates. And to start the series off, they got home court advantage. Again, That's massive. 34-7 at home. Pacers played 500 basketball on the road. I get it. We're talking playoffs, but the atmosphere, the environment, the altitude, everything's in Cleveland's favor in this one, Tony.
Interesting.
I'm not telling you they're going to roll the shit out of them. I'm not telling you that, but I do think Cleveland's going to cap this one off, and maybe I'd say 5 games, 6 maybe to be safe.
I'd say 6-game series. Cleveland advances. It's interesting. I'm gonna we've talked about this on Docs Daily a couple times. We did again yesterday. You were gone yesterday, but you're usually there with me every Tuesday with Craig Trapp.
Mm-hmm.
And we both agreed that Boston's the best team in the East when they want to play. And they have moments. Like last night, Orlando was giving them the business up at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando was the better team in that game at halftime.
Agreed.
And then Boston came out and flipped that switch and just kicked the piss out of them all over the floor. Kicked them right out of the arena. I mean, they have that ability.
Tatum.
I don't think – I've never been a big fan of their coach, but Cleveland's got a better coach. They've got a deep team. They could do some things. They destroyed Miami, even without Garland in the last game. Didn't need him, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're beating playoff teams by 30, 40 points,
right?
I mean, there was a game in there where Cleveland, and the same thing with Oklahoma City against Memphis. There were a couple games. If they wanted to win by 50, they could have.
Yeah. Okay. Game 1, Cleveland, the last game of the set. Yeah.
Dude, they're that good. Mm-hmm. That Cleveland Boston is going to be a 7-game series. And I don't think Oklahoma City is going to have as much trouble getting out of the West to the finals as what Boston and Cleveland is. They're going to end up beating each other up, wearing each other out. And let me tell you something. Boston probably going to end up with the Knicks. I see that Detroit's a 2-point home favorite. I gave out 3 NBA games the last 3 days for free, and all of them won. The premiums all lost. But shit. But at the end of the day, I think that New York will end up getting out of that series.
Agreed.
But I tell you, and if they do, and Brunson, I don't know if he's 100%. He looked like he was one tired SOB last night.
Yeah.
But just say that they could keep him and Hart healthy. Hart took a bad fall last night, never came back in. He came back in for one play, and they pulled him out.
Mm-hmm.
He took a bad fall on that hip, man. And that stings. But at day's end, that series could easily go 6-7 games with the Knicks and the Celtics.
I agree with you.
Probably 6. But Boston has a tendency just to, for whatever, and they did this last year to a certain degree at times, and they definitely did it during the regular season this year. They just take their eye off the ball.
Yeah.
They just take their eye off the price for some, and then the next game you have a 25-3 lead at home over Cleveland, and you lose.
They were losing by half.
That's taking your eye off the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's not, we don't have it. It just seems like sometimes they don't have that killer instinct where you take a team like Oklahoma City, they want to kill you every time they're on the floor. They don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't care whether they're playing the Pelicans, the Heat.
No, they're gonna throttle you either
Portland,
way.
They're gonna throttle you. They're gonna cover a number. They're just gonna beat the piss out of you. They don't care. They're young, they're deep, they're talented, they're well coached, and they just seem like they have that killer instinct that Boston doesn't have.
I agree with you, Tony. And I look at this bracket right now, and on the Western side of things, do you have any individual team that you see that you think could knock off OKC? OKC is either going to be dealing with Denver or the Clippers in their next set. And Denver on the other side, we could say one thing. We know one thing for sure about OKC. They are deeper than all hell, and their starting 5 is no joke. So this team's going to come in comfortable. Doesn't matter what the situation is. They're going to have to go to Denver, deal with that altitude. I thought it would be an issue early on, but now that Denver's already in a 3-2 set going into the 6th game of this series, they're going to be exhausted rolling into this if they come into this matchup. Then you've got the Clippers on the other hand. They're a veteran team. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden. I mean, they rely on all their older guys. You got to go running up and down the court now with OKC, who's the #1 fastest paced team in the NBA. They lead in points per game. They lead from the field. They're one of the best shooting teams from the perimeter. I mean, there's nobody in this Western bracket that I could even consider beating the Thunder other than the Golden State Warriors. I don't see any other team.
I could see, and the Warriors might not even get out of that series.
No, they may lose the series and be done.
Yeah, and I would say, and I said this on Doc's Daily about 2 weeks ago, that it asked me for a sleeper out of the West. It's going to be Denver because it's just tough to go in there and beat them. But the problem is they're going to be so tired and beat up if they do advance on the Clippers against fresh legs and a young team.
Alexander. No way.
All of them. But Denver, if they're all Porter last night, big night, Murray, Jokic distributes the ball as well as any big man in the history of the NBA. That's why he's been a 2-time MVP. The guy does it all. I mean, they have the pieces to give Oklahoma City a run if they were coming off a bye. Sure. But they're playing the Clippers probably 7 games. And last night they made a statement. It's tough to get out from underneath them.
Yeah, no joke.
At home.
No joke whatsoever. Denver is just an absolute beast. And I mean, you said it yourself. If they were coming off a bye, it'd be a different situation. But why do you fire? I still can't wrap my head around this. Yeah. Why do you fire your head coach 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 5 games before you're going into playoffs, knowing you're already going to have a playoff spot, knowing you're in the West and you have to beat the OKC Thunder, knowing you have Joker, one of the best players in the NBA, on your team? Why are we all of a sudden talking about firing coaches and rebuilding the program? I'm hearing rumors that Joker's going to the Rockets next. I've heard several different rumors. Why are we doing that now? We play basketball. We play NBA. We're in the NBA. Because we start the season wanting to finish on top as champions. We're depleting the entire system here. We're in the race, and we're firing our head coach. I can't figure it out, Tony. I just can't.
There's a weasel in the woodpile.
For sure.
Have you
found it?
The only thing I thought when that happened, that close to the postseason, was there's big changes on the horizon that's just not public yet.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever it is, I don't know, but you just don't pull that shit that soon, close to the playoffs. You just, you don't do it because you're disrupting team chemistry. Now, maybe there was some underlying issues. Maybe there was, who knows what they kept, whatever it was, they kept it quiet and they're still keeping it quiet, but they're still playing good basketball. They have talent on that team. Yeah. They have talent on that team. They can match up well, but it's going to be interesting for sure. Switching gears real quick, and then before the show's over, I'm going to give you 3 futures picks in the PGA that Griff knows nothing about.
I do not.
But since I'm going on a golf junket with the boys, and PGA is another sport you have to watch. And I'll watch it late at night till like 1 a.m. if I'm not available because I'm watching other games, the rounds on Golf Network, and and then read the stat sheets the next morning and I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm not putting out plays on head-to-head picks daily for my clients when I'm just guessing. Well, this player is better than that player. The line's 120, Sepp Straka should beat, Sun G.I.M. No. It's right here, right now. Golf is a very fickle game for those guys who play it. You can go from the penthouse to the outhouse in 24 hours. Sure. Which I'm probably going to end up being in the outhouse for basically 54 hours here this weekend.
Go to win, Tony.
Plus, I'm testing out. Plus, I'm testing out a new set of irons I haven't even played around with.
Oh, that's always fun. That'll be
I
a
went
good
to the
rep.
driving range one time, hit the shit out of them like I was Jack Nicklaus. So
Yeah.
now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be trying to find the center of the club face and advance the 7-iron 80 yards.
Me and Nick did that on Monday. We went out on the course. We took no warm-up shots, no range, no nothing. First shot of the year, went in, did not go well at first. Did not go well. And then we picked it up and we got it rolling. The boys had themselves a Monday. Looks like Tony's going to have himself a weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to have a weekend. Real quickly, I saw some grade reports for the NFL draft.
Yeah. All right.
And the one I read was Kansas City had an A. It was a guy from CBS Sports, and he gave the Chicago Bears a C-.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, I thought that your draft was fairly good. Now, the only problem is that Luther Burden doesn't practice hard, and he's kind of got an attitude problem. But I saw him play twice this year down in Columbia in the SEC games. Since I moved back to Kansas City, I got a buddy, it's a big MU. You were here at my local bar, it's all Missouri.
Yeah.
You know, there were teams in the SEC, the two teams they played, nobody could cover him. Nobody could cover him in the SEC.
One guy I loved. That was the one pick I loved, and it was our last pick.
Yeah, he's a good player. If you can get him disciplined, and maybe knowing that you're that good in college that you don't have to work that hard at it. Well, let me tell you something. I don't give a rat's ass how good you are at Missouri. It's like the old Bill Parcells mic'd up thing on NFL Network. He walks over to one of his players on the Giants, and I think it was a defensive back. He pointed, he says, "See that guy out there?" He goes, "You're not playing Michigan State anymore." He goes, "That's a Philadelphia Eagle right there." He goes, "So get your head out of your ass and learn how to play." And the same thing in I don't care how good you were in college. I don't care if you were on Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
It's different. So a lot of times these players with attitude problems get there and they realize even in camp how good everybody really is.
Right.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We got to go to play Pittsburgh week 1 against that defense, or we got to do this, and we got to go into Arrowhead and try and beat Mahomes. We got to, whatever. It gets their attention and they tend to shape up a little bit. If they don't and their rookie year, then you might as well crap can them. They're not going to be any good.
Yeah.
But I like that. One thing I noticed, and then I'm going to give the golf picks, we'll get you out of here. One thing that is just kind of stuck in my mind that I wanted to bring up was the fact that Major League Baseball, very quickly.
Sure.
Have you seen any massively developing trends?
Developing trends as in
any trend that's developing that you can ride?
Absolutely. New York Mets, they're 21-9 on the year. Currently, dating back to last season, I have been telling everybody on this over and over and over again. Last season, the Mets were under 500 baseball during day games. Night games, they were 57 and 37. They've carried that momentum into this season. Right now, they're 12-4 during night games, opposed to 500 baseball during day games. They're 13-1 at home right now. They're playing a night game tonight, and they're a -110 line. Take them on the run line. Get that +160 value with the Mets again tonight. I had that thing circled up, and I'm furious I actually didn't prime this as a premium play. And I put it out on the Dirty 630 show and realized, holy shit, man, I missed a huge play here. Mets here, fair value play -110 tonight. They are playing. I broke this game down already. That's why I have this thing completely circled up. They're playing the D-backs, and Corbin Burns is on the bump. He's a huge name in the MLB, which brings in bait trap immediately. The public herd knows that name. He's already got a 4.05 ERA. He's in a new uniform. He's yet to have a successful start with this team. Mets are powerhousing. They're the best team in baseball right now when it comes to divisional records all set aside. Playing phenomenal during night games. Got another night game on tap for them. They're at home. They're 13-1 at home. I mean, they've been just dominant across all cylinders. And they've got this new guy starting for them. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He's 1-0 with a 1.56 ERA. So whatever he's doing, it's working. So I like this New York Mets team tonight on the run line. If you guys like him on the money line, still -110 fair value play.
There you go. Because I haven't seen any developing trends that I can really ride yet. Right now, I'm getting my ass handed to me. I got Cincy on the run line against Cardinals. They're down 1-0 in the 8th.
I like. Oh God, that's
Cincy's been hot.
Yeah, well, yesterday got postponed. That's
I know, but I had it yesterday. I took the same play. We still had Singer and Nicholas on the hill.
Nicholas, whatever.
Nicholas, yeah. So, well, now we'll see. Maybe I'll get some late game heroics here. Just piling on. Folks,
walk-off bomb.
Of course, you can find us at DocSports.com. We have a free $60 for anybody there's a tab on the website. Just use it. There's a link right there. We'll give you a free $60. You know, we're real people. That's what we're trying to prove on this show. That guys like me, we're not perfect. We're imperfect. You know, but no one works as hard in this industry as the guys over at DocSports.com. Put it that way. Quickly, I'm not going to be able to do the PGA tournament this week. So top 10s, top 20s. Let's do top 20 finishes in the Byron Nelson, the CJ Cup, they call it. Let's go with Sam Burns, top 20 plus 150. Joel Knapp, top 20 plus 200. And Kevin Yu, my sleeper, Kevin Yu, YU, top 20 plus 250. Tell you that right now. Tell you that right now, folks.
Don't sleep on those plays either, by the way. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this show for some betting this weekend.
I'll text you. I'm going to be slow and steady over the weekend. Not a lot of plays for me. Look for Griffin Murphy stuff daily over at Docs. We got 10 other handicappers over there besides us two good-looking sons of bitches that'll sell you a pick too, and they'll win you some money. Thanks for tuning in. Back at you next Wednesday.